Hi, welcome back to Shawnee Hill's Workshop. We're here in the wood shop today and we are not doing woodworking projects. You know, I got a question about when I was showing the winch why I was doing it in the wood shop. Wasn't I afraid to get oil on my bench or grease on it? And yes, I am. But the fact is, there's air conditioning in here and there's not out in my garage portion of my barn where I should be doing stuff like this. So, you know, you make do. I don't want to be hot, so especially not while I'm trying to video. Well, this is my buddy's chainsaw. If you watched my video, I don't know, it's been a few videos back, I ran over it with the tractor. For the most part, I've been able to get it all back together. I've got it running. The one thing that was actually broken, I had to get another part for, was the handle assembly, which I was able to get that online. Pretty cheap actually. So now we just got to kind of take it apart and get that back together. I'm not exactly sure where all it attaches at, but I'm going to start off by just taking the bar off because it'd be easier to work on it. But this video, I don't guess, is really about chainsaw repair because, as I've made it very clear in past videos, I'm not a mechanic. Never claimed to be, don't ever want to be. I just, I get by, do enough, you know, for what I need here on the farm. Making this video more just because of what all is going on in the world right now. It's a pretty cool little tensioning system. I'm not sure how I feel about a toolless tensioning, but so I guess, you know, the main thing that I want to point out before I start any of this is that I don't know a lot about politics. I don't keep up with everything. You know, mostly what I see is what other people are posting or other people are talking about. You know, I don't watch the news. I've never been a news guy. All we have is antenna TV at the house. We don't have anything other than that. And you know, my slow internet makes it to where it's all I can do just to post these videos. So it's not like I come to you with a whole bunch of knowledge about politics or anything like that. And I would say this politics are kind of regardless to this. You know, I'm on Facebook, and I like being on Facebook because I get to see pictures of family and friends, people that I don't get to see too often, people I went to school with that I don't really get to keep in touch with, but I kind of want to know what's going on with them. And I don't know, I'm just sad. I don't know how else to put it. You know, this isn't about being a Republican or Democrat. It's just about being good people. Wow, this thing got really pushed in the dirt. You know, it wasn't muddy where we were at. It was a little soft, but it's amazing. You put the weight of a tractor on something like a chainsaw and it just sinks right down. But anyway, I got ADD or something. I have a hard time staying focused. But I've just seen so many people online, people that I consider friends or acquaintances, that are so polarized one way or the other. Just the hateful things that I've seen. It breaks my heart, to be honest with you. That we as humans can be so mean to one another. I don't know. I guess I'd like to hear what your all's thoughts are about all this. I hate seeing our country in the situation it's in right now. I hate seeing all the divisiveness, all the polarized sides are either A or B, nothing in between, black or white. You know, and again, I'm not an expert. I'm just some guy living out on a farm in the middle of nowhere that likes to work on things and thought that, hey, I'm going to make a YouTube channel. And here I am. But I don't know. I'm kind of the opinion I'd like, when it comes to politics, that I'd like to just be left alone and be able to stay out here on my farm and not bother anybody and not be bothered. But, you know, that's not really how the world works. Looks like I'm gonna have to take this top piece off, which that was already off once when it originally got ran over. It popped off, but I was able to get it back on. It's got a little bit of deformity right there, but nothing that affects the chainsaw. And what I believe to be a rubber mark from where my tire hit it. I'm a huge fan of the internet. Obviously, you know, I have a YouTube channel. I think that the information that you can get from online is amazing. I just think it's an amazing resource, to the point to where I almost believe that internet should be considered a utility, just like electric or plumbing, that it ought to be something that everybody has availability to. But I do feel like one of the downsides of the internet age that we're in is the lack of personal contact. You know, last night, a close friend of mine and I were both commenting on somebody else's post, and pretty quickly it got kind of, I don't want to say heated, but I'm like, this is so weird. Like, so I just called him. I'm like, I'm not going to comment anymore. I called him. And within 30 seconds, we both know what each other's talking about. We're on the same page, and it's a good conversation. But there's something so different about writing it in a text or an email or a comment versus speaking it or seeing somebody face to face talking directly to them. I prefer that over even phone call. But, you know, phone call is the next best thing, especially in this day and time. But, yeah, it's just so much can be lost to... you can't hear the inflection in people's voice. You can't look them in the eye. There's so many things you can't do over the internet that just keep you from being able to truly see things. So, I don't know. That's one thing I really don't like about the internet. I feel like we no longer look at people as individuals. You know, I look at some of the hateful things that are written as comments on my page and other people's pages that somebody standing right in front of me would never say that to me, or vice versa, or to another person, you just wouldn't do it. And but on the internet, it's like it's a open game. I see so many things coming out to where you know, it appears something is one way, and it's obviously done that way intentionally, and then, you know, when the truth comes out a few weeks later, it's not at all that case, but it's too late. The harm's done, and, you know, people only remember their original impression, or at least it seems that way. I grew up in a small rural community in eastern Kentucky, and so maybe I'm behind the times. You know, I don't know, but I just don't know what happened to being civil and nice to one another. You know, my mother, grandmother, any other female in my life would have backhanded me if I would have spoke to some people the way that I see people speaking to each other on the internet. News media, it's amazing what they get away with. And believe me, I get it. I understand why the news does what they do. You know, on my, I don't remember what video it was. I think it was 129, somewhere around there. I started out, the whole video was me putting the hour meter on the mower and then organizing stuff there in my shop and introducing the loop shuttle, which I think is an amazing tool. And I can't remember what the first thumbnail and title was, but it was very descriptive of what I was doing. Very, you know, here's what I'm doing, and here's a picture that shows you that. It had a click-through rate of around 1%, which is bad, really bad. My normal videos get, you know, 4 or 5, sometimes up to 10. You know, a viral video will be up over 10. Well, after 8 hours, it had only got 73 views, and like I said, just under a 1% click-through rating. So I changed the thumbnail to show me holding the box of the loop shuttle, but I had it blocked off what it was and an arrow point to it and changed it to something along the lines of, one of the best tools I've purchased in a while, which is a fact. I'm very happy with it. I wish I would have got it a long time ago. But, it's a little clickbaity, I'm not going to deny. And one of my commenters, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was that commented on it, I apologize. And they said something along the lines of, you don't need to do this kind of thumbnail and title, your content speaks for itself. And I appreciate that, and I'm glad that somebody thinks that. But if nobody watches, does it matter? And so you do that clickbait to try to get people in. You try to entice them in. And now, I think there are two types of clickbait. There's the kind of clickbait that has nothing to do with the video, or like I did, that it does have some truth to the video, but it's definitely more enticing than what the video as a whole may be. Have I mentioned that I like L81? Anyway, and so I explained to him that, you say that, but then I told him that after I made that change, how high my click-through rate jumped up. And that video went from being number 10 out of 10 all the way up to being, I think it's number 6 out of 10, which still isn't great, but it definitely did a whole lot better than what it was doing before. And the news media is playing the same game. These guys are just trying to do their job, trying to stay in business, and we have become such a clickbaity world. And I'm guilty for it too. I click on videos all the time that I'm like, man, I just clicked on that because it was clickbait, not because of the content. And I'm sure everybody watching here right now, if you're honest with yourself, will, if you think back, those kind of videos are the ones you click on. And the news story that doesn't have, any controversial comment doesn't really get a lot of clicks. And that's how these news companies make their money. So I don't know what the answer is. I can't ask them to not try to make money, to not try to earn a living. I don't want it to be government regulated because I am not a fan of things being government regulated. So I don't know what the answer is. I can't tell you. I can just tell you that it's a problem, and that the American people are the reason for the problem. And I would say it's not just America, it's all over the world, I would imagine. But they're just giving us what we want. We enjoy controversy. We enjoy getting upset for whatever reason. And they're giving us what we want and what they got to do to get their clicks and their purchases and to earn their money and stay in business. So I don't know where all this is coming from today. I just came back here to fix a chainsaw and just, I guess, explaining how I feel. I would say that I have, through this whole coronavirus deal, I've definitely been down a lot. And I would say the majority of my sad feelings have been a result of people just seeing how nasty they can be to one another. I've seen people that I think in the past are really good people, and I still think they are. I think they're just misguided right now because they have said some really nasty things, all because somebody supports a Democrat or a Republican. And let me tell you, if you're basing your life upon a Democrat or Republican, no matter who they are, you're putting your faith in the wrong thing. That's just a fact. Yeah, at the company I work for, there are two divisions of the company. And, I work on one side, then there's another side. And up to about a few months ago, there was a tension that was really growing between those two sides. And it was, to some extent, an us versus them. Basically, one side A would see something that side B was doing wrong or that was affecting side A, and they would, talk to management. And then so management would take that to side B, and then vice versa. B would bring something to management about side A. And it just was a lot of tension, I would say, because it was no longer, Wes or so-and-so. It was us and them. It was a, colloquial we and them. So about I don't know, a few months back, we started having a monthly meeting with people from both sides working on problems together. And so now it was no longer an us versus them. It became a we sitting here working together, sitting around a table trying to figure out what the problem is, or sitting around a internet conference room now, the way things are. And we had one of those here just recently. And during that, I'm sitting there and I'm looking back at my notes from previous meetings. And the first meeting, there was almost nothing. And it's because neither side seemed to want to help the other. I don't know, that may not have been the case. That's my impression of it. But that was an almost 2-hour-long meeting, and not till the last end was there any kind of breakthrough. To like the last 5 minutes. It was kind of funny. And then the next meeting, there was more. Then the next meeting, a page full of notes, all the stuff that's coming out of it, things good from both sides, things we can do to improve, not as us improving or them improving, us all together as a company improving and working, trying to make the other person's life easier. You know, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is something I'm doing making somebody else's life harder. And once we tackled the problem together, all of a sudden it became a much smaller problem, and we're making headway. Now, we still have a long way to go. There are still things that need to be figured out, need to be fixed, but we are so much further along than what we were when we started. And a lot of the problems we haven't even identified yet, because we're just picking problems one at a time, getting them fixed. Well, I think our country's in that same boat. We're so busy being us versus them that no problems are getting fixed, nothing's getting solved. It's just a fight. And I think the most important thing that people can do is to truly try to understand perspectives other than their own. I will say that I tend to lean more conservatively. And I know that is to put out which way you lean on the internet is not the smartest thing to do. So who knows, this part might get edited out. But that being said, I try to engage in a lot of conversation with my liberal-leaning friends, or at least the ones that are capable of having a conversation with. A lot of them aren't able to. But I would say the ones that I truly call friends are capable of it. And, you know, we don't agree on a lot of things, but I understand their perspective, if that makes sense. And I'm willing to listen to it. And I think that's important. I think that's important with anything, not just politics. I learned years ago when I was a carpenter, the worst employee I ever had, he was bad. He was really bad. And the worst part about it was he didn't realize he was bad. He thought he was a really good carpenter. And at that time, I was probably about 30, and he was probably 55 or so. And a commonly used tool is a flat bar. We use it to pry, you know, it's basically a difference between, they're a combination of a trim removal pry bar and a crowbar. It's kind of halfway in between, so it's flat, but it's a little bit bigger than just a little trim removal bar. And it was just something we used every day. And there's no good pocket in your tool belt to hold that. Well, I remember seeing him slip that in the belt loop on his pouch between the belt and inside the loop. And that was the first day I remember it really hit me that if I can learn something from him, I can learn something from anybody, because like I said, he was probably one of the worst carpenters I ever had work with me. And at that point in time, I realized you can learn something from anybody if you're willing to listen or watch or pay attention. Well, like I've said many times, I don't know too much about nothing, but I just wish we'd all start treating each other a little bit nicer. Well, I'm going to finish getting this handle on, and I don't know, we'll see if I ever post this. But either way, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like this video. If you don't like this video, if you want me to leave the politics to people who know what they're talking about and focus on working on things. But either way, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.